Hmm. Okay, so hello, hi everybody. We are going live with our show for this evening. I'm just taking a moment to make sure. Okay, great. Okay, great. So I wanted to just make sure that everybody could see us. So that's fantastic. Everybody can definitely see. So hello. First, I wanted to say thank you for your patience. As usual, we had a little technical difficulty because our co-host for this evening was arranging some things with his mic. So now we're all up and running. And I just want to start off saying that there's been quite a lot of news going on, right? And this show is all about what's going on in the universe, what's going on in the world, and what's going on with us, because guess what? We make up all of it. So with that being said, welcome to Self Mastery tonight, the first part series. And you're going to be meeting on an outstanding behavioral specialist. He's going to be with us for the course of the next several weeks. And we're going to be learning a lot from him. And if you have any questions, what I suggest is that you just simply post your questions, concerns, or thoughts even in the thread that you have afforded to you, and we can take those thoughts. And also, just as a FYI, you should know that, this is the community show. This show belongs to you. And because we have that interactive ability, if there's anyone who wants to come on, you can simply put your email in the chat. Let us know. I can send you a link, and you can also come on and join the discussion if you would like to. So with that being said, this evening I was coming home, and I was getting different texts from my neighbors in my community, and they were like, "Oh, don't come in on this end, on that end. There's an incident," and they sent me the notification that said it's an incident. So I'm like, well, what is an incident? So then they sent me another notification saying it was a shooting. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So just sad, the tragedies that keep occurring, right, with these shootings. And then I got another notification that basically said that it was a homicide. So we have some issues here. We have some issues here in the nation. We definitely have some issues here in Newark, and it all starts with us and where we are and where we stand on these issues. So with that being said, I would like to bring my co-host on for the evening if possible. So let's see if we can get him. Talut, you look pretty far away, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome. If you'd like, please go ahead and just introduce yourself. I don't know if you could get closer. If you can, please do so. And again, guys, we're gonna get our technology more in sync as our series continues. We we had some challenges this evening, but thank God we were here. Sometimes when you have a good message to get forth, oftentimes you meet challenges. So we have surpassed those challenges. And I just introduce yourself, if you will, to the listening audience.
Oh, my name is Talut Muhammad. I've been working as a behavior specialist for about 12 years now. And I basically got into the field by accident. But I'm very fortunate that I went into the field because by becoming into the field, to watch. I learned how to watch people behavior, and it's very crucial because before we get to our personal issues, we got to address our behavior, and basically our behavior is a reflection of our internal struggles. So basically, we had to work on our internal struggles, and that's one of the foundation of us becoming the master of ourselves and become better people. Because what's going on into the world is basically because people don't know, for one thing, they don't have the mastery of themselves and whatnot, and they don't know what direction to go. So most of our people, they follow what other people do. So what we have to learn how to know about ourselves emotionally, mentally, and physically, and mentally. And once we start learning things about ourselves, we become a better people. Because for one thing, if we want a better society, we got to become a better person within ourselves. Once we become a better person, and the next person become a better person, and the next person become a better person. Now you have a society of well-behaved people, and you don't really have to die to go into heaven to see heaven. You have heaven on earth because each individual have self-control of themselves, and also righteous people don't even need law because a righteous person have law within themselves. So
Mm.
that's one of the things that we must work on within ourselves. Because once we start working on things within ourselves, we can have a better community. Our community is basically a reflection on what's going on inside of us.
Yeah, Talut, let me just pause you for a moment. I don't know if you are aware with the situation, the court case with Ahmaud Arbery, guilty verdicts on all three of the people who were involved in that situation. So this definitely was justice served. It does not, we understand, bring him back to the family or back to us, period. But justice is very, very important. We don't think that people should just be able to walk up to us and just shoot and kill us, right? So without getting deep into that, because that's pretty self-explanatory, I want to bring it back locally where we are, when there's so much shooting going on, so much killing, so much robbing. Now we know that crime goes hand in hand with violence, right, and poverty. So what do you think about that? Like, what can we do as individuals to help change the lens, if you will, as far as that's concerned? How does that relate to self mastery?
First, we have to looking at ourselves, right? We have to start controlling our own behavior. We have to study ourselves if we go into school. When we go to school to master some particular subject. The most important subject we also study is the study of ourselves. Once we're able to correct our behavior, as an individual, then we can start. Then we will start reflect your society. You won't have a society that's so quick to pick up a gun. You know, this court case should never be. You know,
Talut, let me ask you a question. You said something really important. You just said that once we correct our behaviors, what would you say to some people who don't recognize that their normal behavior is something in need of correcting, that they actually think it's okay?
um, first of all, you have to be you have to be exposed to different people. To different avenues. 'Cause a lot of times, what you see in your community, sometimes that's all you think. That's all you think the world's all about is just gun crimes and drugs. That's what you see. But when you're able to expose yourself to other avenues in life, you'll see there's a better way. Because sometimes people don't even know there's a other way of life. So we have to expose ourselves to other way of life, and sometimes we have to get around people that that have different views in life and have the same type of like minds. You know, and I think it's easier for us as adults, but with children it's just a little bit different. So for us as adults, we must create an environment so our children can go to in a type of society in which um, um, we have correct behavior, people know about themselves, and we want to have so much crime infested communities in which we have.
Right. So, Talu, you raised some really good points there. And but again, my question is, what do we do to gauge, if you will, the differences between right and wrong as we are developing ourselves? And we're just going to talk about the adults, since you said that the adults, and I agree, need to do that for the children. How do we gauge what is right and what is wrong when there's so many different behaviors, right? Everyone acts differently. Who's to say who's being right, wrong? Is it dictated by religion? How do we gauge our behaviors, again, whether or not they're acceptable by societal means?
Um, it's a first of all, it's a lot of self reflection that you have to look at yourself. You have to look at within yourself, look at your behavior, and once you frustrate with your behavior, that's when a change will take place. But if you are satisfied with your behavior, you won't change. So some form of fact. Sometimes when people make a change in their lives,
Yeah.
something drastic has to happen. You
Okay.
know. So a lot of times we want to. It shouldn't have to be so drastic. Something drastic stuff. Something happen. We have to learn how to study ourselves. You know,
Right.
a lot of times how you was raised in your family may not be the way that you want to become as a human, as a person once you outside your family. So
Wow.
you have to.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's interesting because don't we all just by nature do what we see our families do oftentimes? I don't know.
Yes, until we get exposed by something different.
Okay.
You know, sometimes he's like, sometimes inside the family, the norms inside my family may not be the same norms in your family. It
Okay.
may be different. Um, and you won't probably know it's something different until you get exposed to something different. Then you can start to judge it. Start judging this is the way I want to live my life versus the way I was raised. So it depends. It depends on the individual. It depends on what your likes and your dislikes, because a lot of times some of us may not agree how we was raised. Some of us may do. So some of them may lean the right way or the left way. It depends on the individual. You
Right,
know.
right. We talked about earlier, I think you said knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Can you share a little bit about that and how that may relate to us getting to know ourselves better?
Yeah. Like knowledge what to understand. If you're not able to use the knowledge that you have, you just have knowledge but no wisdom. Wisdom is actually when the knowledge in which you have, you're able to use it. You know, and it's a process of using the knowledge that you have. You know, so um, we can't be a type of people that I have so much knowledge, but I'm not putting into practice. You know,
Mm.
now you have knowledge, but you're not doing nothing with it. So what's the sense to have knowledge if you're not able to use it to benefit yourself and your family? You know,
Right,
so
right,
you have to know the knowledge of yourself, and get the understanding how to use the knowledge.
right. No, I agree. I agree. Next question. Yeah, people. I've often heard it said scientifically. People don't know what they don't know, right? So again, what are we using as a gauge, for somebody that's watching this show tonight? What are we using as a gauge for how we self-master ourselves? Are we using religion? Are we using moral or ethic codes of laws of nature? Like what are we doing to guide ourselves? Because if we only know what we know, and we're not in the environment, how do we do better? How do we know we need to do better?
Um, Basically, I could tell you with me personally. I always wanted something to do something different.
Right.
You know, I just wasn't really. I won't say not. I won't say I wasn't. I knew there was something more out of life.
Right,
You
right,
know, I just had the image. I just knew something more in life. So I just started to me personally. I just started to just exploring. Once I got of age, I just started exploring. I knew what I liked at that particular time. So I started getting around with people that like what I like. Different exposure. That's how you get to know be able to know different things in life by being exposing yourself to different things in life. So I exposed myself. It was just curiosity. This is the want to know more.
right, right. Okay, so why is this important? Why are we having a show about this tonight? Why what is so relevant about self mastery? Like because people feel, I'm sure that there are people who feel I'm just one person. I could look out for me and my family. I really don't have a impact, right? I'm insignificant, at least when it comes to all of the shooting and killing that's taking place in our city. How do we utilize self mastery in order to be able to impact what's going on in the community around us?
Well, it really shouldn't be an old saying, but it's an old saying. Each one teach one.
Mhm.
That's real basic. What I know is my responsibility to teach another person. You know, and so on and so on and so on. And once that takes place, you have a community of people who have like minds and want the same things what we all want in life.
Okay.
You
I
know.
agree. I agree. So far for everybody who's coming on, thank you for joining us this evening. So far we got, you need to feel a sense of exploration. You need to feel that there's something more out there, no matter where you feel that you are in class or in position in the world. There's always more, right? That's a given. So the next thing that Mr. Muhammad is sharing with us is just exposure. You have to be willing and open to exposing yourself, to being around new people, being around different people. Just exploring new things. And I remember going to I think it was the Holland, not the Holland Tunnel, the Shadow in New York when I was younger. And they had different floors, right? And I remember one of the floors, it was like all Chinese people. And I had never partied with Chinese people before. And I said, you know what? It's time to start. And we were in there break dancing and having a good old time. And I never forgot that. And I think that's a good example about, just being around different people, doing different things. I think people are in total the same, right? No
Right.
matter what race, creed, or color
Right.
are.
Right. Right.
Like, yeah, like some people like certain things, some people just don't. It doesn't matter. So when you open yourself up to being around new and different people, you open yourself up to an array of differences, right? And getting to know yourself better. And do you think that Talut, that knowing yourself is a part of mastering yourself?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, it's one and the same. You know, um, once you know yourself, sometimes people don't even know what they like. You know, sometimes you got to sit down and just sit down to yourself, just get quiet within yourself. You
Mm,
know, and just to see what you like and then what you don't like. You know, and once you're able to really sit down and let your ego go. And really decide what do I really want with myself. You know, what do I want to do with my life? What makes me happy?
right, right.
You know,
And I love what you said, and I want people to let that resonate, right? Um, Sitting quiet with yourself. A lot of people don't do that, and it's funny. I think I saw a post, just ironically, right, earlier, something that I wrote in 2012, and I said sometimes, when young men go to jail, that's the first time they get to sit down, and
right,
with themselves. Like, what do you think about that?
right. In this society, they don't teach us to sit down and be quiet. They
Right,
always teach us to go. We're always on the go. Go, 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 go. You ain't doing nothing if you ain't on the go.
right.
You know, so a lot of us we don't want to. Some of us don't want to be alone because we don't really want to listen to our thoughts.
Wow. Yeah.
We're so afraid. We're so afraid of our thoughts. So we have other people around us to silence the noise within our heads.
Wow.
You know, that's
Latoya
why I
agrees.
remember I was watching Hurricane with
Okay.
Denzel Washington,
Yeah.
and when he was in a cell all by himself, and he was fighting. Basically, he was had a fight amongst himself and
Right.
whatnot. He had to face his demons. So once he was able to face his demons, he was able to be another human being. You
Right.
know, just like a lot of guys, they go to jail. Like you could see a guy go to jail for murder or murder that he didn't commit, and he was in 20 or 30 years, but he come out peaceful. And people don't understand that because he found peace within himself, you know. And
Mhm.
and it sometimes it seems kind of odd when you hear somebody say, "I forgive that person," see, we think forgiveness is about that person. Forgiveness is about you. You
Right,
know,
right,
forgiveness would relieve you of that burden, so you can move on. A
right,
lot of times, when you don't forgive that person, you are stuck. It's like you're frozen in time. You're not able to move. You can't go. You're not going backwards. You're not going forward. You just there. You know.
right,
So
right.
sometimes you got to forgive just to free yourself.
Right, right, right.
You know.
And so we come to a place where we can forgive, right? When we get to know who we are and we're at self peace. But if we never have a time where we sit down and we don't even know we're supposed to do that, I joke sometimes that I would call, some of my friends, and it's 11, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, and the kids would be up, bouncing, going all of, and I'm like, they don't have to lay down to get rest. Their minds are developing, and I don't know if if people are open to that level of discipline, right? Even with their children. So we're talking about self-discipline, and I guess that's where it starts. But if you don't recognize what that self-discipline looks like, are we able, do you think, to even convey that to kids? Because I think that a lot of parents today, they want to be friends with the kids. So telling the kid to go to bed, that's bad. The kid might get mad at me. So I just want the kid to be happy. So I'm just gonna let him play. It's no harm. Like, what do you think about that?
For one thing, they need their rest. You know, everybody need their rest. You know, that's when you re-energize the battery when you resting. You
Yeah.
know, sleep is therapeutic. You know, you go to sleep for a couple of days, you might go insane. You know, so
Yeah, that's
sleeping is
true.
is very is very therapeutic. So you need that. You know, and like you have to make time for yourself. That's why you got to put the kids to bed early, so the rest of the night can be yours. You know, or you can get up extra hour every morning just to yourself. Just no one's bothering you. Just to yourself and just think things through. Or
Mhm.
have yourself a notepad. Write your thoughts. Write what you like.
Right.
You know?
How many of you guys in the listening audience, just type into the chat right now if you sleep just yes or no with a post-it pad or notepad and pen next to your bed. Because I find that to be a very good thing to do, because sometimes thoughts come to you at night when you're resting and you might want to jump up and write those things down. Awesome stuff there. Awesome stuff. And also, just to reiterate what you just said about, just like being one with yourself, um, just being alone with your thoughts, even. And how many
Right.
people do that? Like, if you get up in the morning, right, and you get up late, and not even late. If you get up on time, what you may call on time, you're rushing, you're trying to hurry up, you're one hiccup away from being late, and every day that's the scenario. So that can be hard for you to catch your thoughts. But if you get up, like I'm a person who I would always get to work an hour earlier. you know that would help me gather my thoughts, think about what I wanted to do for the day, prep a little bit more, be more relaxed with myself. And if I'm relaxed with myself, then I could be relaxed and at peace with the people that I'm dealing with throughout the day, and even when you come home at the end of the day with your children. So again, when we're talking about self mastery and we're talking about consciousness, and Talut, maybe you can share with us a little bit, just connect us there, the consciousness part. What is that about?
The conscious thing is about knowing yourself internally,
Mm,
knowing your thoughts, be able to when you see you having a bad thought, be able to turn in another direction. You know, it's really sitting down, really having a real personal relationship with yourself and by yourself. You know, so it's very important to truly to get to know who you are. You know, what what makes you tick. You know, what do you know? Like this, if all your needs were met, what would you do?
Mm.
Ask yourself a question. All my needs was met. What would I do? What would make me happy? You know, and I'm not talking about your job. You know, you was put here to do more than just a 9 to 5. Other than if all your needs was met, all of them, what would you do? What would make you happy? You know, and these are the thoughts that we start really sit down and start asking ourselves. All my needs were met.
I love what you said about redirecting your thoughts, like turning a bad thought, turning it around. And I wonder how many people actually do that. How many people actually do that. And you need to become one with yourself, I believe, before you get in a relationship. And if you agree or disagree, share with us why not.
Oh, it's very important that you become one with yourself. Because for one thing, no one can make you whole. Only one person can make you whole. That's yourself. You know. Now, if you whole, you find another person whole. Now you talking. So it's very important to know who you are. Because a lot of times we don't even know ourselves, and now we want to put a burden on someone else to make us happy when we can't make ourselves happy as ourselves. Why would you put that burden on somebody else when you couldn't do it yourself?
Mm.
So it's very important to know who you are, to even to listen to your thoughts. We don't even listen to our thoughts.
But Talut, what do you say to the person listening, right? Who, like we mentioned earlier, the trauma that has happened. Maybe you lost a mom or a dad or a loved one, and you are hurt. You aren't feeling really whole, and you are looking for somebody, or hoping or even praying for somebody to come into your life to try to help you get through. That what would you say to that in reference to what you just stated about being whole already?
Um, when you become one with yourself, right? Um, you appreciate all the people that comes into your life,
Yeah.
and you will hold on to the time that you share. Because sometimes I look at what would it be if I never met that person at all, versus I lost that person. I know of course it hurts, but
Mm.
what would it be if I never met that person at all? What would my life be like then? So I look, it was an honor for that person to be in my life at that particular time, and I cherish the moments that we did have, and I reflect off all the guidance that person gave me, so I can live my life according to what that person taught me, according to where I want to live my life. You know.
Wow. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So I'm just gonna go to the comment section. April says hello. April, thank you for joining us. Latoya says hello. She's in agreement with a lot of the things that you're saying. She says that she uses her laptop to take her notes. So that's cool. And sticky notes. So she's giving a round of applause to that. Yeah. So for those of you who are just coming on, thank you for joining the show. Please share it if you haven't done so already. We're just talking about how we can build self mastery, right? And this is so important because it is important that we know ourselves, because even if you get into a relationship with somebody, right? If you don't know yourself, a person will give you a narrative, they'll give you a script, and that might not be something that you're happy with. And you're not only developing self mastery for yourself, right? And for the strength of the relationships that you're in, and those are your friends, right? Those relationships, your family, your significant other, but also the relationship in the community. Many of I'm a candidate. I'm running for city leadership here in the city, and one of the main challenges that I see is there's not enough people involved in a city where we have a population of 300,000 per the last census. We have about 20,000 participatory in the voting process, right? And a lot of that may stem from people don't see themselves as parts of the whole, right? And what does that look like to be a part of a whole? Does it look like being active? And Talut, maybe you could comment on this. Does it look like relinquishing that level of work to the Lord? You know, some people say that. So what do you say to people who may have that question? You know, should they be, you know, doing their part to become part of a whole? Should they relinquish that part of the work to a higher being? Like, what are your thoughts on that in terms of, again, self mastery?
Um, we are responsible for ourselves. You know, it's not. It's my duty and responsibility to learn myself,
Yeah,
learn who I am. It's not no one else's responsibility. That's my responsibility. You know.
right.
So once you take on that challenge of being responsible, you have a lot of self reflection. Sometimes you're not gonna like what you see within yourself. That's cool. You know. Now you know what you need to work on. You know.
Right,
So
right.
once you're able to work on it, for one thing, self mastery is an ongoing process. It's not like you got. It's
Mhm.
not like it's a one time. Oh, I'll master myself and I'm gonna live ever after. No, it's an ongoing process. You
Right,
know,
right.
actually, it doesn't stop to the day you die. To be honest with you,
Right,
you
right.
know.
No, that is excellent what you just said. I just want to repeat that. Self-mastery is an ongoing process. And you know, I would often tell young people, you know, students in the schools that I've worked, because you know, sometimes certain teachers would be so hard on them, you know, and I would tell them it's okay to let the teacher know that, you know, I'm a work in progress, you know, I'm trying every day. I'm working harder, and it takes us accountability, right?
Right,
It's accountability there, and it's also a level of forgiveness that you mentioned earlier. Forgiving yourself before you can forgive other people. Like, I forgive myself for not being perfect right now. I forgive myself for the mistakes I may be making, but it's okay because I'm growing. I'm learning to master myself. So that was wonderful, wonderful stuff. I don't know if you can share anything about the process of mastery. Like, okay, so it's a lifelong process. What specifically do we need to look forward to as we're treading through that?
um, sitting down, really analyzing yourself. You know, um, getting a true understanding of who you are. You know, and really start examining your thought patterns, start examining your actions, start examining how you interact with people, you know, and then once you start to reflect that, now you can start to see how I want to change my behavior into a better person than I was yesterday. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you might have good days, sometimes you might have bad days. You know, but you know, a lot of times you learn more about yourself during a hard time versus the good time.
Right, right.
You know,
I want to encourage everyone who's listening. I see those comments going up. Put any questions that you may have into the chat box. But I have a question. What is your advice, for people who they feel like it's everybody else but them? Everybody, you know, that they're having issues with and concerns with, they kind of, you know, chalk it up to they're hating, right? Or I'm gonna make my circle smaller, and you know, or I'm gonna distance myself from other people. Do you have any advice for individuals who may be thinking along those terms, or is that the right way to think? I don't know. I'm just asking.
well, we all have to be accountable for our own actions. You know, um, if you do some, if you do something wrong, admit what you did wrong, and just don't do it anymore. You
Mm,
know, we make things. Sometimes we make things more harder than it has to be. You know, um, like I tell my children, treat people the way you want to be treated.
wow.
You
Yeah.
know, and sometimes you may not have people treat you in that manner. You know,
Right. Right.
but you have to know when. Sometimes it's not quick to curse a person out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's best just to be quiet. Because a lot of times it takes more discipline to not to react than react. To react, that's a basically that's a normal reaction.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But
You I'm
not
learning.
to react, that's a whole different animal.
Yeah.
That's self-control, that's self-discipline.
It's
You know.
almost like you have to look at an aerial view of things and just change the lens or change your perspective on what it is you're seeing. Because when you're looking at somebody head on as an equal, it's easy to kind of fall into that tit for tat. You said this to me, so that's going to be the reason why I say this to you now. And it has to be, I think, a little bit bigger than that. I think Michelle Obama once said, when they go low, we go high. But I know a lot of people don't like to do that, right? I know we have a lot of people that eye for eye. What do you say to that, Talut?
Well, personally, I believe eye for eye.
Okay.
Okay. You know, you kill my dog, I'm gonna kill your cat.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
You know,
Okay.
but
So is that your level of self mastery with that, or is that your what is it?
yeah,
Is that
that's not self mastery. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because that's
yeah,
your creed, right? That's what
yeah.
you.
Listen, listen. You don't bother me, I won't bother you. Okay. Self mastery mean you're a punk. Okay, let's not get that confused. Like you holding it down. No, self mastery, you know how to control yourself.
Look at Latoya. One of the people, one of the listeners is saying, "Yeah, get even." I'm gonna just say for me, I don't have time to get even. I'm getting out. I'm getting out, and I love what you just said. That it's not about being a punk.
See
It's
now,
about yeah. Like I
now
just
you talking about relationships. That's a totally different. That's a totally different animal. You talking about relationships.
are
You
you
know.
talking about like violence and killing and
No, listen. You don't bother me, I won't bother you. You
some.
know, I love myself. Okay, so
Mm,
I'm going to protect myself from any and everyone.
absolutely.
Okay, because I like living. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I ain't gonna I'm not gonna be act like I'm holding it down. I'm gonna let you beat my butt and you go about your business. No, we ain't playing them type of games.
I love that. Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely. No, I
you know.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah, that's a different type of situation. So with the situations, you got to kind of weigh in what is it that you're doing, because and I'm just gonna go back to something I heard earlier in reference to the profanity. That's one thing. Like, I do not feel the need to meet people where they are with that. Like, when people start using a lot of profanity and it's just uncalled for, I don't know. It's just like a red flag to me. Like, okay, me and this person, we're not functioning on the same frequency, and I'm not gonna let you bring me down to where you are. That's a low frequency right there. I'm not doing it. So that's what I say when I'm. That's what I mean when I.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let me explain that. Like I tell my children, I said, if you expand your vocabulary, you know
Yeah,
how to use profanity. You know, there's a lot of words you can use, and you can say something to somebody in a respectful way, and go about your business. You don't got to go get all outrageous. Say what you need to say, and just go about your business.
absolutely.
You know,
Talu, what do you say to a person who would say, well, they're doing really good on their process, right, of self mastery, but some of us want to be, want to
repeat
help.
that. I missed your question. Repeat that.
Yeah, I was saying, what would you say to a person who is doing pretty good on their mission of self mastery, but they're maybe in a relationship or dealing with other people? Again, this could be family, friends, significant other. They're dealing with people who they haven't mastered self mastery. And sometimes, you know, some of us feel like, oh, we could try to help people, we could try to save them. Like, what would be your advice for that when you come across people who are not have not developed are not developing self mastery? Are those people that you would invest in to try to help them along, or would you just stay clear?
What you mean by helping along? By helping get
Like
a better
helping people,
understanding,
yeah,
or
like
get a
like
relationship?
to help people be better. That's what I mean. Like,
Oh, you could always help someone to be better, but would you want to be with that person in a relationship? That's totally different because for one thing, you're on totally different levels. You
right.
know, and y'all don't have like minds. So basically, y'all don't have things in common because this person may want to do this, but you may want to live that, do that. You know, so
Right,
eventually y'all come to a crossroads.
right. No,
You
I
know, so you have to have like minds.
word
Or
respectful.
it's going to be a difficult situation.
Facts, facts. Okay, so I guess this is like the last question I wanted to ask you. Um, with self mastery, right? As we move forward from this show, and again, we're going to be here for a series of shows. How important do you think education is to self mastery?
Education is important because that's like the root of it. Um, it's like basically like the foundation, you know, of it. And then as you start to acquire knowledge and whatnot, you eventually you'll run into knowledge yourself, self mastery, because all the philosophers, all the prophets of God, they all talk about knowing that self, and knowing that self is the mastery of self. So eventually, you will get there, but you have to have a foundation.
Right. You have
That's very important because before you even build a building or a house, you need the foundation. You know, you
absolutely.
definitely need a foundation. You know, that's very
Absolutely.
important.
Absolutely. So as we move forward, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. And I'm looking forward to see we're gonna be talking more next week. We're gonna have these tech issues all ironed out, and there's just a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that we're going to be conveying in the following weeks. We realize that it is a holiday weekend, and with that in mind, we're going to stop right here for this evening. But please, you're invited. Join us next week, same time, same place at 9 o'clock. The newest topic there. Talu, do you have anything last words you'd like to share?
Um, let's try to it's very important to know who you are. You know, it's a process. One step at a time.
One step at a
Okay,
time.
one step at a time. Don't beat yourself up. Learn how to love yourself. You know, and enjoy life.
Slow motion, everybody. Slow motion. Until next week, everybody. Peace.